Look, butterfly is notoriously the most exhausting, punishing stroke in the pool. For a lot of people, it literally feels like you're in there wrestling a bear. But it absolutely doesn't have to be that way. Okay, let's dive straight into this explainer and deconstruct the ultimate blueprint for mastering the butterfly stroke using sports science and biomechanics. We're going to look at exactly how elite swimming mechanics are built from the ground up, and how we connect what happens in the weight room directly to what happens in the water. By the end of this, you're not just going to be trying to swim harder. You'll have the exact blueprint to swim smarter, completely transforming how you actually move through the pool.
So what actually makes a butterfly swimmer fast? This is a super fascinating question to start off with because we really need to challenge a massive, completely exhausting misconception right out of the gate. The idea that butterfly is just an arm and shoulder stroke. When you see someone powering down the lane, throwing up massive splashes, it's so easy to think, oh, that's all upper body brute force. But here's a surprising fact for you. True elite propulsion relies way more heavily on your core and lower body than your arms. What actually creates speed is precise neuromuscular timing. Yes, it involves the shoulders, for sure, but also the back, the core, the spine, the glutes, all the way down to the final snap of the ankles. It's one massive whole-body movement.
Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to logically connect the dots between muscle anatomy, targeted gym exercises, and ultimately faster race times by hitting these 5 areas: the butterfly kinetic chain, mapping the stroke anatomy, bridging dry land to water, elite technique and drills, and finally, racing for master times.
All right, jumping right into section 1, the butterfly kinetic chain. Let's decode this whole body movement.
Think of the butterfly stroke exactly like a whip. A kinetic chain is just a coordinated, whole-body movement where power travels consecutively. The snap starts up top from the upper body, travels straight down through a highly engaged core, transfers into your hips, and then whips right down to your ankles. When that chain is broken, say your core is just a little bit floppy, or maybe you forget to fire your glutes, that power leaks out instantly. Trying to swim fly with a broken kinetic chain is, well, it's a lot like trying to fire a cannon from a canoe. You're expending an enormous amount of energy, but because you have absolutely no stable base, you end up just fighting the water instead of actually moving through it.
Moving right along to section 2, mapping the stroke anatomy. Let's look at the 4 phases of butterfly.
True mastery here means understanding the distinct physical sensations of these 4 phases. It starts with phase 1, entry and extension. And listen, this isn't just dropping your hands into the water. It requires massive shoulder stability to really set your line. Then we flow right into phase 2, the catch and pull. This is where you should physically feel your lats and pecs grabbing hold of the water almost like it's a solid object. Phase 3 is the push and second kick. Just a violent backward acceleration of water past your hips. And finally, the absolute hardest part for most of us, phase 4, recovery and breath. This relies heavily on your scapular stabilizers because you have to heave those heavy, wet arms back around to the front while staying low and doing it all without creating a giant wall of extra drag.
So, what's powering all of this? True propulsion requires your entire muscular system working in perfect concert. Your lats and pecs are the primary drivers of the pull, taking that huge force load from your hands and forearms. But the absolute magic, that happens right in the middle, your core and spinal erectors. Have you ever felt like your legs are just sinking to the bottom of the pool? Your spinal erectors are literally the unsung heroes preventing those hips from dropping. Your core acts as this crucial, solid concrete bridge, transmitting that upper body force directly down to your glutes, hamstrings, and quads for the kick. You aren't just pulling, you are basically weaponizing your entire torso.
So the absolutely crucial takeaway here is that your finishing arm push and your second dolphin kick must fire in perfect connected harmony. The goal is never independent movements. Have you ever watched a swimmer who looks like they're fighting a literal life-or-death battle against the water and just losing terribly? It's usually because their arms are on one rhythm and their legs are doing something entirely different. They kind of look like a drowning caterpillar. If your upper and lower body are out of sync, you are actively hitting the brakes on your own momentum. It has to be one unified pulse.
Okay, section 3, bridging dry lands to water. Let's look at the gym-to-pool connection.
I absolutely love this elite coaching concept. Potentiate the movement, then swim it. It completely flips the script on how we think about traditional weightlifting. See, the purpose of gym work for a swimmer isn't just to lift heavy iron or build this massive, inflexible physique. The real purpose is to prime the exact neuromuscular system you are about to use in the pool.
You wake those highly specific muscle fibers up, you get the nervous system firing on all cylinders, and then you immediately teach your body how to translate that activation into water propulsion. Imagine doing a heavy, explosive lift in the gym and then immediately diving into the pool. You can physically feel that raw power transfer directly into your stroke. It's incredible.
And here is your aha moment. We aren't just guessing with these gym exercises. A straight arm pull down develops your lats in the exact same plane of motion as your swim, perfectly transferring to your butterfly pull towards your hips. A heavy barbell hip thrust fills your glutes, directly powering that forceful hip drive of your dolphin kick. And then, check this out, the Palloff press, an incredible anti-rotation core exercise. Most people skip this, but it trains trunk stability by forcing you to resist twisting forces. That anti-rotation strength is the absolute secret to maintaining a perfectly straight, torpedo-like body alignment as you undulate through the water. It perfectly connects the what in the gym to the why in the pool.
Moving into Section 4, Elite Technique and Drills. Let's see how these principles manifest in the water by looking at some verified mechanics from the GOAT himself, Michael Phelps.
Let's tackle body path first. A wildly common amateur error is treating butterfly like it's a bouncing exercise. We've all seen it, right? The swimmer pops up out of the water like a whack-a-mole just to grab this frantic gasp of air and then crashes way down deep beneath the surface. That excessive vertical movement is completely exhausting and completely kills your forward momentum. The elite strategy is to drive all your energy efficiently forward. Your body path needs to pierce through the surface like a needle, keeping frontal resistance to an absolute minimum while maximizing horizontal distance.
Now, the mechanics of the kick itself absolutely dictate your speed. A simple knee bend? That is a massive amateur trap. When you just bend your knees to kick, your shins drop down and act like a giant parachute, instantly creating drag. The reason people default to this is usually tight hip flexors, or honestly, a remarkably weak core. A true elite dolphin kick isn't actually driven by the knees at all. It's a fluid, full-body wave initiated all the way up from the chest, rolling powerfully through the hips, down the quads, and culminating in a really sharp snap at the ankles.
And timing is everything here. You have to avoid the dreaded dead spot. An amateur mistake is having a weak, almost completely forgotten second kick. That dead spot is that terrible moment where your momentum completely dies, forcing you to re-accelerate your entire body weight from zero for the very next stroke. It is the #1 reason butterfly feels so utterly exhausting. So, to avoid stalling out, you must time that second kick perfectly with the powerful finish of your triceps and lats at the back of your stroke. That precise second snap is the exact engine that shoots your heavy arms effortlessly forward for the recovery.
So, how do we actually transfer these elite concepts into your own nervous system? Well, you can't just jump into a full 100-meter sprint. You have to build awareness before you add speed through progressive water drills. You start with body dolphin drills just to truly feel that chest-driven wave. Then move to vertical dolphin kicking, which forces you to generate real core power just to keep your head above water. To perfect your symmetry, you use the 2-2-2 drill. That's 2 right arm strokes, 2 left arm strokes, and then 2 full strokes. This isolate and combine method fixes imbalances perfectly. Only after mastering those do you piece it all together into full butterfly.
Finally, Section 5, Racing for Master Times. Let's bring all this biomechanical knowledge together.
Racing at master speeds is a completely different beast than casually swimming laps. Because the fastest swimmer in the pool isn't necessarily just producing the most force. They're converting force into forward velocity with the absolute least wasted movement. That means constantly optimizing your stroke rate against your distance per stroke. It means nailing your streamlined underwater speed and your breakout timing so you don't surface too early and kill your momentum. And perhaps most importantly, fatigue management. Here is a sobering fact for you. Stroke mechanics completely fall apart in the last 15 meters for about 90% of amateur swimmers. Perfecting your timing early on is quite literally the only thing that will save your technique when that massive lactic acid burn sets in at the end of a race.
Building towards a true master time is a structured 6-phase journey. You simply cannot skip steps here. You begin with meticulous technique and mobility work in Phase 1. Then, that raw strength you build in the gym during Phase 2 has to be converted into explosive, fast-twitch power in Phase 3. From there, it evolves into stroke-specific conditioning in Phase 4, right through to intense race simulation. And finally, Phase 6, the taper. Tapering is this crucial sports science concept where you drastically reduce your training volume right before a race, allowing your muscles to fully recover and supercompensate. When you dive in on race day, your body is primed to absolutely explode. I really want to let this powerful thought sink in for a second. Strength is only potential.
Technique converts it into speed. All that hard work in the gym, the heavy pull-downs, the barbell hip thrusts, the grueling core work, it's merely potential energy. You're just storing it up. That brute strength is completely useless on race day until your flawless technique, your exact timing, and your horizontal bodyline actually unlock it and unleash it in the water.
So what's it going to be? Are you going to keep fighting the water, letting your momentum die, and exhausting yourself with every single stroke? Or are you going to finally harness the power of the kinetic chain, transfer your strength effectively, and actually let your body fly through the pool? Think about how you're going to apply this exact blueprint to your very next training session. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.